Okay, hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So today's reading is all about a really big blessing that is going to get revealed to you in your life. So we've got 3 piles for you to choose from today. We have pile 1, 2 and 3, and you can pick your pile based on the number of the pile or the numbers in the timestamps in the description box below, where you'll also find zodiac signs to choose from if you like to choose that way. You can also pick your pile based on the energy of the pile or the crystal or card on top. So for pile 1 we have the Vengeance with overcoming slights and a choice, and we also have black apatite as your crystal. For pile 2 we have the Cartographer, a crossroads and exploration with some red tiger's eye. And for pile 3 we have the Merchant with self-worth and trade with the Bloodstone. Once you have picked your pile, there will be a timestamp in the description box below for you to find your reading more easily, and I will meet you there. Bye! Hello my pile 1s, welcome to your reading. So you chose the black apatite with the Vengeance card. So overcoming slights and a choice. So let's get some more cards on here so we can go deeper into your reading. So we have the Runaway with secrets running from problems. We also have the Unknown, a journey with the Walker. And in reverse we have the Priest with faith and perseverance. Let's see if I can fit them all onto the screen. Yes. Okay, I think you're no longer tied to something. You're kind of being set free a little bit. You're no longer tied and weighed down by, other people's sort of opinion of you, how you might feel about others as well. So for example, if there's someone on your mind who just really bugs you and you think about them all the time, you're not anymore. You're just like, oh, whatever. It's almost like you're so burnt out by them that you're just now at a place where you're done with them. But if it's more like, you know, you're worried about how other people think of you, that kind of thing, it's not something you care about anymore. You're kind of setting yourself free from that a little bit. A big blessing for you coming in is that you're sort of getting the awareness to step away from investing your energy into things that don't need your energy. So for example, if you're really concerned about being liked, because that's something that I think is coming through here, you almost, in your pursuit to be liked, to be a people pleaser, in a sense, not in a malicious way, but in a sense you tend to manipulate the situation. And by manipulate I mean you might say you're fine, or things that people do to you are okay when they're not okay, because you want to make sure that the way they feel is put first before the way you feel. You want to make sure that they feel okay about maybe the mistreatment that they've done of you and things like that, and that's not fair to you. But it also manipulates the situation a little bit, because that person doesn't know how you truly feel, what you're truly thinking. If they're like, oh, I hate hummus, and you're like, oh yeah, me too, I hate it, but actually you eat it every day, you're manipulating the situation because you want to be liked. So you're kind of presenting this version of yourself that is just who they want you to be, or who you think they want you to be, rather than who you actually are. You're no longer doing that. You're being released from that, and that is a massive blessing. So instead of kind of presenting this false version of yourself, you're finally, for the first time, being like your true self. And this will cause a little bit of a blow up, especially with the Tower card there, because when you've kind of molded yourself into this perfect person for people, and then you go, actually that's not me, and you step out of that and you're like, actually I love eating hummus. This person, you know, these people, I'm using that as an example, but it could be anything, but these people will be people in your life who are like, how dare you, love hummus, okay? Like, it bothers them. And so it could definitely have this ripple effect. But that's really great with the Five of Pentacles here, because there's two people here holding hands. So when that destruction occurs, when you're shut out of certain people's lives, or certain people are annoyed at you, it will open your eyes to who truly cared about you in a genuine way, because there will also be people left behind who want to celebrate this authenticity you have, who love you regardless of who you are, and who were also kind of like, thank God you finally started being honest, because I wanted to know who you truly were. And it's going to open your eyes to these people that you want to spend time with more, who were genuine, who you should surround yourself with more as you kind of step into your authenticity. These are people who are celebrating you coming out of your shell and freeing yourself and being who you were meant to be, rather than who people wanted you to be, who you were kind of raised to be and taught to be. And in a sense, when you start to make this decision to align yourself more with people who accept and celebrate you for who you are, when you start to notice people who make like backhanded comments or say little things about you or take digs at you, you actually take no notice. So where usually you might have been someone who got triggered really easily, instead of being triggered, you're like, oh, okay, they've just outed themselves as someone I don't want to hang out with. Thank you for that, and you move along. And so you almost, in a sense, you're overwhelmed by good choices of people to sort of hang around with and be around, and good opportunities coming into your life, because you're no longer distracted by and weighed down by these negative people. You're not investing your energy into the wrong people, the wrong opportunities anymore. You're now focusing on the right things. Because before, when you were investing your energy into these other people, it was weighing you down, it was keeping you in this cage. Now you're out and you can explore, and you've got all these opportunities. And you can finally swim to the surface. But before, you didn't have that. But now that you're being your authentic self, you do. And it's something that completely brightens up your life, gives you a lot more options and choices in life as well. And it also makes you so much more brave, where you can be like, you know what, even if you didn't have people by your side being like, I love you being you, and I love that you love hummus, you do you. You don't care, because you're now, for some reason, you're finally allowing yourself the space to recognize that being alone or on your own or independent is actually a massive privilege, and it's a massive accomplishment for you to be able to not feel that need to depend on anybody else. Also, you're now being so much more direct with your communication style, so rather than saying it's fine, it's okay, like no worries, whatever, like when people do, you know, the wrong sort of stuff to you or disrespect you in some kind of way, you're now more direct, and you're like, nope, didn't appreciate that, don't do that again. Like, you're way more to the point now, and if they don't respect you saying that, then they're not someone you want to kind of be around. So you've now got this really amazing decisiveness, where you know your worth, you know your energy, you stand on business. You don't let anyone kind of disrespect you or kind of make you feel bad for being you, and you're only around people who accept you, even if that just means yourself as well for the time being. But I don't think that is the case, because we've got two people here, we have the free birds here. You're going to find your group because of this change. This is going to be an effortless change for you, an effortless transition, and you recognise that you don't need approval from others for things. So it could be that you're the type of person who you want to buy this really cute dress that you see online, but first you have to go and ask all your friends if it's actually cute, or else you won't buy it. And it's like, why did you feel the need to get validation from others when you already validated yourself that you liked this dress based on the fact that you liked it, you know? It's like, why do you only feel motivated or assured to do something once it's had approval from others? You're no longer doing that. You're now the captain. You're not taking command from others. You're going after things you want. You're making decisions for yourself. You're becoming more independent. And this is going to feel like such an effortless, easy change. And this really, truly is a blessing for you, because you're going to become so much more self-efficient, so much more confident, and you're finally going to start aligning yourself with what you want, not going after what other people want. If you don't take control of your own path, that means someone else is taking control of it for you. So I can definitely see you stepping into your own path with confidence, with control. You're now allowing yourself to take the reins of your own life, which is so amazing. So that is what I see for you, pile 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye. Okay, hello my pile 2s, welcome to your reading. So you chose the red tiger's eye, and you also have the cartographer here with a crossroads and exploration. So definitely something new, some sort of new journey for you with a big decision to make. Oh, we have the forgotten with missed opportunities, fear of failure. We have the vengeance, overcoming slights and a choice. That was from pile 1. If you were drawn there, feel free to check that out. We also have the sleeper in reverse with cause and effect and clarity. We also have the adventurer with responsibility and expectations. And we have the walker, which I also think was in pile 1, the unknown and a journey. Wow, there is definitely something about you going on some sort of adventure, like you're exploring something. And it's really interesting because we've got a lot of adventure cards. We've got a journey, we've got adventure, we have this anchor here, so you think of a ship travelling across the sea. We also have the cartographer, so 100% there is movement in this blessing. It could be that you are literally moving, but we'll get more cards for more on this. But you're waking up to some sort of truth. There was something unknown that was kind of hidden from you that you're kind of opening up to now. It's really interesting because this as well with the forgotten, this person, they're kind of a flat figure, but it almost looks like they're floating like there's no gravity. They're almost like swimming down to this eye here. So it could be that a specific person is coming into perspective, but this could also be you, like tapping into your consciousness, especially with the sleeper. So we have Judgment and the Empress with the 3 of Wands in reverse and the 2 of Wands. We also have the 9 of Cups with the 9 of Swords in reverse. Interesting. The Ace of Swords. And the Knight of Pentacles. I think you're someone who is used to playing it small, kind of making yourself smaller, trying to disappear into the background, trying to be like a wallflower, like you don't want to get noticed. You were walking through life kind of numb, not really having a sense of direction, not really knowing where to go, and kind of avoiding reality because you weren't kind of happy with it. But a blessing that's coming in for you is that you're kind of opening up and becoming this person who doesn't want to be small anymore. You're someone who is recognizing that you want to live your life and you've been given this life for a reason, and so you want to explore it, you want to go out and see where it takes you, and you're coming to this realization slowly. It's sort of taking a hold of you, and I think it might even be an actual person who pulls you from this sleeper state into a waking state, because I always think of community when I see the walker there because of the 3 birds. But then I also see, with the Vengeance card, this person's wrist is wrapped up in the rope attached to the anchor. The rope has been cut, which is freeing them from the anchor, and then there seems to be a hand coming in, which will grab their hand and pull them back up, kind of thing. And then we're also seeing this person floating towards this person's vision, their perspective. So I'm seeing a blessing coming in. It could be, I'm seeing 2 things, so 2 blessings coming in for you, but it is one, the fact that you are changing your consciousness to what it is you want. You're realizing you want more out of life, and you are starting this brand new journey where you're actually living the life you want rather than this life that you've kind of slipped into. And I see a lot of success for you. But I also see someone actually coming in and helping you to kind of wake up. It could be that they inspire you with their own life that's very exciting and well-travelled, well-lived. It could be that they actually bring some wisdom to you, some insights into where you could go, what you could do. But it could also be that maybe this person means a lot to you and gives you the kind of vitality you need to go after what it is you want. But you're basically presented with options. You have the option to keep living the life you've been living, where you're maybe not satisfied with it, where you kind of try and avoid it through escapisms, or you can start living a life that makes you feel inspired. And that has to do with travel. I could see you going like off-grid, traveling the world, having like a tiny van, tiny home, something like that. I can see you like exploring the world and prioritizing what to others would seem like a humble kind of life, but to you means everything. Because you're living your life, you're adventuring, you're getting to see the world and explore, and meet new people and live an exciting life. And also, you'd be potentially also saving more as well if you live that kind of lifestyle. It depends on how you sort of worked through it, but I can see a lot of satisfaction in life, a lot of contentment, happiness, feeling really successful because of this choice you've made to move, to wake up, to get up, to go after what it is you actually want. Your perspective is changing, and I also think you're letting go of what doesn't need to be your responsibility. So if we go back to the sort of tiny home example that I gave you, it's kind of like if you were to actually take a look at your life and you're like, okay, you know what, maybe you're really stressing about like mortgages and things like that. Like, to go off script here, I watched this tiny home video and this couple were basically talking about the fact that, you know, they'd paid off their house, but they both worked 2 jobs. They were paying for bills that were just ever increasing, and of course food and going out. And because they had a house, they also kept buying more things for the house. Like if they went shopping, they'd be like, oh, that's a nice pillow, and buy it. And you know what, like the consumer mindset. And they also, the way their jobs worked, they were kind of missing each other, so they were never in the house at the same time. And so like one would be at work at night, one would be at work during the day, and they never seemed to actually spend any time together. And when they did, it was like decompressing from work, sitting on the couch watching TV. So they said that they sold the house, got a tiny home van or minibus, whatever it was, and decided to retire early. So this meant that they could live off the money from their house rather than continue to work from the house sale, because they bought a van instead of buying another house and losing that money. They're able to use that and live off that. Their bills are basically nothing because they have a mostly self-sustaining van. Of course, you can hook it up to water and electricity depending on where you park it, but you can also get like fully off-grid ones. And so for that reason, basically they only need to buy food, or like if they ever want to go do like a fun activity, they do that, but they're consuming way less because they don't have a house to come back to. They don't feel the need to go and buy like 100 candles or 100 pillows and fill that house up with stuff, because they've just got their tiny home kind of thing. And they said they spend so much more time together, they actually enjoy their life now because they finally get to see each other. They spend time with the dogs, who also love it. And in a sense, those people, the reason why I'm bringing them up is they recognise that the responsibilities that they thought they had to have, that were weighing them down in life, I've got to pay for this bill, and I've got to pay for this, and we have to go to work, and we have to not see each other. None of that was actually true. It was this illusion created around them, because they actually did have the freedom, because they owned their property, to be able to sell it. They had the freedom to retire early if they just opened their eyes and saw things for what they were, which is exactly what they did. And they recognised what responsibilities were actually theirs and what weren't. Keeping the dogs, having them around, taking care of them, that's a real responsibility. Needing to work for the rest of their life, even though they were sitting on basically like, hundreds and thousands of pounds based on the fact that they owned their property. No, that wasn't a responsibility of theirs. They could have relinquished that, and they did. So it's kind of like that. You're opening your eyes to what is actually your responsibility and what isn't. And you're moving away from the lies you've been told about what you do have to do in life and what you don't. And you're kind of carving your own path. So this is a real blessing for you, because it's releasing you from what was weighing you down in life. And I can see that helping you in terms of life fulfillment, life enjoyment, but also connections with others, especially romantic connections, and also so much progress and enjoyment of the future. And I think you're letting go of planning for the future as well, which is a side note. I feel like instead of being like very like strict about where you're going to go in life and what you're going to do, you're now just going to live life and see where it takes you, being so much more free and open, and that is a real blessing for you. So that is what I see for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, hello my pile 3s, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Bloodstone, and you also chose the Merchant with self-worth and trade. Very interesting. We also have the Archer with biding your time, planning ahead. The Enchanter with deception and trickery. The Smith in reverse, overthinking and taking action. Interesting. I think that somebody has been lying to you a little bit, which you are becoming aware of in terms of what your value is. So for example, it could be like in a connection with somebody, they convinced you that all the effort you're putting in is 50-50, or they've convinced you that you could never do better than them, or they've convinced you that you're not worth anything more. It could be in a job, like they've convinced you you're not worth more than a certain salary, or you have to do certain things in the job that actually you don't have to do, or they've convinced you to do 2 jobs in one without you realizing. Basically pulling a wool over your eyes. A trade-off has happened that isn't true, isn't equal in value or worth, and so you're kind of opening your eyes to that, but for some reason you're playing it slow a little bit. You've sort of realized it very quickly, like it's almost like they've said a certain word, they've slipped up somewhere, and you've gone, hang on a minute, I should be on a way higher salary than this. Or you're thinking, hang on a minute, have I been doing 2 jobs at once? Or, you know, whatever it is, they've slipped up, and it's kind of, you've had this like glass shattering moment where you're like, oh, okay, I see. And so you're biding your time. So it could be like you're looking for a new opportunity that will pay you better or treat you well. And so that's maybe why you're biding your time. But at the minute you're not taking action on it, but you are becoming aware of this imbalance, which is a very big blessing for you, because it's what's going to help you get out of this imbalance that's been created. You also have the Knight of Wands, the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, the Hanged Man in reverse, and the Eight of Cups in reverse, with the Dancer, self-expression and strength. You also have the Three of Swords and the Two of Pentacles and the King of Wands all in reverse, with the Painter also in reverse with productivity and creation, and the Seven of Swords. Yeah, you're sneaking away sneakily, and I don't think you are like emotionally in turmoil about this imbalance, because I think for you it's just a, oh, I see kind of moment, and then an emotional switch off, and you're more focused on like malicious compliance or revenge. Like, you aren't necessarily hurt by it, but you are like, okay, I'm no longer putting effort into this thing because I've actually given way more than I should have, not gotten anything in return, and I'm not ready or willing to expend my energy any further on this situation. So you're actually putting in way less effort, biding your time to plan a perfect escape, a perfect execution of a mic drop moment where you walk away from this situation. So it's almost like with the Hanged Man in reverse there, it is like you're waiting, but also you're not, because during this waiting period, this biding your time, you're also thinking and executing a plan in your mind and getting ready to do that, and you're getting ready to do it with like panache as well. Like, you want to kind of be like, so you thought you could get away with this, well, let me tell you something. And then you kind of come in with this with this kind of very dramatic flair of an exit with this situation. Like, you're trying to avoid being hasty because you don't want to mess things up for yourself. Like, if they've already taken advantage of you in some kind of way with this trickery, with deception, whether it's like a company, like a a boss, a manager, or a partner or something, whatever the situation is, and who it was, they've already taken a lot from you, so why would you kind of almost aid them in taking more by acting really impulsively and hastily? No, you want to make sure you're set up well for the exit, that you're prepared and you've got all the backups you need before you actually take your shot. You know, if you're putting this bow and arrow together, you put the arrow in, then you sort of raise your arm, you pull it back, you angle it, you focus on your point, like you take time to figure out where you're going to aim, and then you shoot. There's a whole sort of like a etiquette or way to go about it. There's a sort of performance or a sort of tactile political kind of response that you have to take in order to exit this situation wisely, to make sure that you have something to fall back on as well. I think because this person or this situation has taken advantage of you, they've kind of limited your success or your rewards in life, and that means that while you might not get anything more out of this situation, so you of course want to walk away, which makes total sense, but even though you can't get more out of this situation in terms of success, there's definitely that sort of negativity of losing more if you go about this in the wrong way. So you've definitely got to be really tactile about it, which I do think you will execute perfectly. Yeah, and I think you will come out on top as well. You definitely exude a lot of grace, and I think something about the Empress as well to note here. Yeah, there will be success for you in walking away from this thing, but something to note about the Empress as well is she can only be in harmony with others if she is being treated fairly, kindly, nurtured, and if she's not, she falls out of sync with everything around her. She can no longer impact the world in a positive way, because if she's not happy, the world isn't happy, kind of thing. So something to note there as well is that they almost don't know who they've messed with. Like, you may come across as a very kind, compassionate person, and you probably are, but once you're wronged, this brings out a new side to you that no one's ever seen before. We've got the Queen of Swords here in reverse. Yeah, you can be very cold-hearted with that Queen of Swords there in reverse, which I don't think they'll expect. But it's time for you to take back what belonged to you, and stand your ground and set those boundaries and get back what's actually been taken in some kind of way, however you can. Of course, you can't really take back energy that you've kind of put into a situation, but if malicious compliance and leaving in a really mic drop kind of way rejuvenates you somewhat, then that's almost like you've reclaimed your energy or your power again. But of course, if it's like a financial thing, then of course you can try to pursue that with like legal advice and things, but sometimes there's not an option for that. So for example, if you've been, you know, technically doing 2 jobs in one without your knowledge, and technically you're owed like that secondary salary, sometimes there's nothing you can do about that, because technically you're doing everything that was asked of you in the job and you were paid what you were told you were going to get paid. So it's really tricky, but you will get a sense of justice and a sense of righting this wrong, a sense of balance somehow. So what it might not be like for like, but it will be worthy to you. You will feel satisfied with that, and when you walk away, you can't get messed with again in this same way, because you now have that knowledge of what to look out for. They kind of took advantage of maybe your newness, your naivety, your vulnerability, your inexperience, which is not right of them, and you're going to show them that's not right. But this has definitely now meant that you are more experienced in whatever the situation is, so you can avoid these situations moving forward. You've definitely got this strong free spirit energy, and I think after this situation you're moving forward with a new outlook on life. Yeah, definitely a free spirit. You're starting something new. So whatever this was, in terms of, it could be a relationship, a job, you're now going after completely opposite things. So if you were more in like corporate and it's like a massive company and it just kind of swallowed you up and took advantage of you, you're now like, no, okay, I'm gonna either be an entrepreneur or I'm gonna work in a startup company because I'm done with this kind of environment. So it's something like that, like you're doing a complete flip. If you were in a relationship and that's where the imbalance was kind of occurring, you're then like, okay, I'm not doing relationships no more. Like, it's now giving you this new perspective where you kind of want to be a bit more independent, and you're rewriting what success looks like for you. And you might feel at the minute like you need almost space to rebalance the scale. You might feel like you need some time to process, and that's absolutely okay. But essentially this injustice, whatever it is that has happened to you, is getting righted, which is a massive blessing for you. And I think you're the one to do it, which really gives you that power back. It returns to you what was taken with that kind of exhaustion, that overwhelm of having this imbalance happen to you and not being able to put a name to it, not understanding what's happening, because your eyes were there was a wall pulled over your eyes, so you didn't even realise it was an imbalance, and you're like, why am I so exhausted by this situation? And then they slip up, and that's when you realise an imbalance has been happening this whole time. So it's going to be righting that for you and bringing so much more success and happiness to you. And you're very spiritually protected on this as well, so if you ever need help with anything, you can definitely ask your spirit guides for help and they will be there for you, because you've got the little dog there in the fall. But definitely justice is going to be served in this situation, rest assured. So that is what I see for you, pile 3. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye!